Originally, I was gonna take tonight and just be kind of quiet and not film anything, but sometimes it's just too tempting, right? So in the parts and the kits that I ordered tonight, they have the rings and all the gaskets. There's this blue triangle looking thing, and it looks just like this, but blue. And this, like, it looks solid, but every time I try to pull it out, it flakes apart because it's so, like, just old and decrepit and got too hot and it's brittle. So I think we'll get some tweezers or something smaller than a screwdriver and try to pinch that and wiggle it out and take a look at it. But I mean, really, all it is this is the crank breather, and it, oil droplets should stick to that and drain back in instead of making their way up through the pipe. Okay, I got a dental pick with a hook on it, so maybe if we get that down in there, and then just real carefully, yeah, that's the same shape that is in the thing of the kit that I got, except it's blue, and probably when you, like, look at this, I just push it with my thumb, squeeze a little bit, and it just well, you would have seen some cool stuff, but it completely disintegrates. Definitely way too hot. Oh, here we are. I made this a long time ago, like a long time ago. At least it would have been 2007-ish, I guess. So 13 years ago, made this thing for getting some valves apart on the motorcycle head, and it's just kind of been hanging out ever since. So you don't need anything fancy. Just get yourself I think that's an oxygen sensor socket that's already slotted, right? And then magnet tool is ideal to get these keepers out, in my opinion. That one's still stuck in there a little bit. We'll have to push it down further, but you get the idea. Things will pop out. I do want this in order and how they come out, because there's a stack of stuff, and the only difference between the two sides, from what I can tell in the drawing, is that the intake will have a proper valve stem seal and the exhaust just has like a metal plate. Otherwise they're identical. And then we have a bag for each side, right? Intake, exhaust, this one, yeah, intake and exhaust, and then pump side, intake and exhaust. So right now we're working on the pump side head, which is head number 2 according to the stamp. This one should have a 1 on it. Yep, that's got a 1 on it. So we'll put things in their corresponding bags as they come out so they go back in their correct position. But we do want to look at it. So we got, there's our cap, there's our spring, there's the base for the spring so it doesn't wear into the aluminum. And sure enough, there's a valve stem seal, which the rubber looks good. It feels good, but we got it so hot, and the gasket kit comes with them anyway, that we're going to go ahead and replace that. I'd assume you just grab it with pliers and it pops off, but I'm not going to be too forceful until I know for sure. All right, on the exhaust side, same thing. It's got a cap, it's got a spring with its own little cup, and then looks like no valve stem seal. There is a little, it's like a metal disc thingy, right? I don't know what the point of that is other than holding the guide in place, right? So that must be all it is on this side. The valve stem seal keeps the guide in place. We're not going to push these guides out because I can't feel any play. They feel really good. There's a little tiny bit. Now, if we were measuring this in real life, right, we'd have a dial indicator on it, and we'd be able to click, 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 push it back and forth. I don't know if we'll need to go to that extent to check our guides, right? I don't think we're that far off, but the seat's all black and gross, which, whatever. We're going to clean all that up anyway. I got lapping compound. I don't know if we'll need to lap these. I'm certainly not going to sandblast the seats, right? We'll go ahead and clean this up the more traditional way. And then we'll see if we need to get these in there and use a little lapping compound to clean them up or not. Really, it doesn't come apart any further, right? So we got the heads apart. We're going to leave the valve guides in place because we're confident that they're fine. We don't need to worry about them. Crank's got a light coat of oil because that's what cranks do. So we're not too worried about that. I think I will, it's already walking around some of the gross nasties, but we'll get it wrapped up in some kind of plastic, just to let it hang out until we give it a wash and then put it in. Same thing with the table. We can clean up our tools. I like to hang on to the old gaskets until the new ones show up, right? So like here's an exhaust gasket. I'm not just going to throw it away. It's a lot easier for me to look at this one compared to the new one than it is to hold it up against the head. Same thing with all the rings, head gaskets. There's a whole bunch of parts. Like we kept the, what are those called? Valve seals, whatever. Kept the ones for the intake and put them in their bags so we can compare them to the new ones. Just a whole list of stuff that we won't bother with until we have the new parts in stock. Now, the company I ordered from is out in Washington State, and they ship with the Postal Service because they're cheap. But the other benefit is they're cheap, right? So we're less than $250 for the entire seal kit and both sets of rings. So I'm fine with that. It's a really good price for everything that we need to rebuild this engine, excuse me. It's people are starting to get testy about that now that electric vehicles are around, right? And granted, it makes sense at work because if I say engine, right, this is an engine. If it runs on electricity, that's a motor, an electric motor combustion engine, right? Well, now that everybody's testing both things everywhere all the time, you kind of need to pay attention to the distinction because there's a lot of assumptions that come along with each word, whereas before they were kind of interchangeable and people didn't care. So maybe it's similar to my Navy test, right? So whenever I meet somebody that says they were in the Navy, my go-to is I specifically ask them what boat they were on, and if they get upset and correct me and tell me no, it's a ship, then I know that they're not going to be any fun to hang out with, and I go on my way. Right, we're moving right along. Got most of the things cleared off the workbench so that we can reset it into clean mode, which will be new set of paper, and then nothing goes up here unless it's clean and ready to assemble. I've got a tote full of stuff that I'm going to take to work, since I have that advantage to use their parts washer and not dilute and mess up the fluid in mine. Everything that's bagged, I'll be washing here myself. Any of this stuff, I'm going to wash here myself. Like this is just, I'm going to eat up a bunch of electrical cleaner on that. I don't want to put it in the parts washer and have it just soaked in kerosene. I want to use something that evaporates quickly. But we'll brush it off first. I need to find my nylon brushes. I don't have wire like brass and steel hanging out. I know I've got a bunch of nylon ones somewhere, so if I can't find those, maybe I'll just go ahead and buy some more. But a little bit of cleanup to do. Obviously the bags can go back up here once it's clean, the clean area, right? Because we can, anything that's dirty in there is inside the bag. We don't need to worry about it. So we also got the parts washer cleared off so that one, I can use it, and two, Dad can use it for staging tile stuff tomorrow when we do tile work in the bathroom. So yeah, we just got to find a spot for these things to hang out until they're clean and ready to go back up, and then get the bench nice.